Welcome to the Cardinal Newman Society podcast. I am your host, Kevin Murphy. Today we are enjoying the beautiful studios of the Heritage Foundation in downtown D.C. I want to thank them for their sponsorship of a meeting we're attending today, Newman Guide College Leaders President's Meeting, in which today we are joined by Steve Minnis of Benedictine College. Steve is celebrating over 20 years as the president of Benedictine College and has been a key force in ushering in growth for that university that is just wonderful. When you are in the area of Kansas City, the Benedictine name comes up quite frequently. So Steve, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks for having me.
So Steve, let's back up for you. 20-some years ago, you came to Benedictine College. What were you doing before Benedictine College?
Sure. Well, I'm sort of unusual, so I'm an alum of the college. I graduated there in 1982. Then I went to Washburn Law School, which is in Topeka, Kansas, and became an attorney. After law school, then I was an assistant district attorney in Kansas City area, and so I tried a lot of cases, criminal cases. After that, I began working at a corporation called Sprint Corporation, which is now T-Mobile. But I was there 14 years. The last 12 of those 14, I was on the board of directors of my alma mater, Benedictine College. And so then my predecessor left, and so I went to the chair of the board, and I said, hey, I don't have any experience for this job. You guys would be idiots to hire me. And they did. And that was 20 years ago. They haven't got rid of me yet. So.
Good salesmanship there,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So now let's back up for a minute here. You growing up, did you grow up in and around Kansas City?
I did, St. Joseph, Missouri.
Okay.
My father was a college baseball coach there at Missouri Western State University, and so then I was taught by the Benedictine sisters at LeBlond High School, so that it was pretty natural. In fact, almost all of my teachers were either Benedictine sisters or went to Benedictine College.
Oh my gosh!
Especially my coaches.
A lifelong
yes,
Benedictine.
That's right.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's great. Well, now, okay, so you're at the college. You come to the college in what year?
So I come to Benedictine College as a freshman in 1978. It was really interesting. It was the first year of the pontificate of St. John Paul II, right. And I became president in the fall of 2004. So my first year as president, John Paul II passed away, of course, in April of 2005. So so I've kind of bookended him.
So this is kind of a homecoming week for me because growing up in Kansas City, in the Kansas City area forever, the Benedictine College name was still prevalent. I mean, around town, people knew of Benedictine College. Their kids went to Benedictine College. Many went on sports scholarships. Mm-hmm. And so you knew of Benedictine College. Where people that are outside the Kansas City area don't know of it, tell us about Atchison, Kansas.
Sure. So
tell us about that.
Atchison, Kansas is about 11,000. Our Benedictine monks came out there in 1858. So you can imagine 3 years before the Civil War on the Kansas and Missouri border, only 50 years from when Lewis and Clark first set eyes on that land, there was a college there. So it's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's the birthplace of Amelia Earhart, which always reminds me of one of my favorite stories. So when you're a small town, you have somebody famous from there, you tend to name a lot of things after it, right? And so our commencement speaker one year was Cardinal Dolan of New York City, right? So he flies in, and he gets off the plane, and I'm there to greet him. Oh, Cardinal, it's great having you here. And he said, Steve, when I saw the itinerary today, I was a little nervous. And I said, well, why is that? And he says, well, you had me flying into Amelia Earhart Airport. She crashed her plane, don't you?
That's a good point.
So anyway, it's a great town, and it's really been growing. We're a very important part of that city, and now it's starting to attract a lot of families. After the pandemic, when more and more people could choose where they wanted to live, not because that's where corporate headquarters was, but because where they want to raise their families.
Right.
All of a sudden, you have a lot more people moving to Atchison because they want to be a part of kind of what's happening there, this kind of spiritual renewal in this small town where you can raise great kids. I mean, have an opportunity to raise a family and be part of the college and what's going on there spiritually.
When you took over for Benedictine College, how many students did you have then?
So we had 900 when I came, and then now we have an enrollment of 2250. So we've more than doubled since I've came. We've built 16 new residence halls and 6 new academic buildings and a new dining hall and a new student recreation center. Actually, during that time, we've built new or renovated every dorm room, every classroom, and every athletic facility on our campus.
Wow, I told you this when I came to campus the last time, that I was astonished at the growth at Benedictine College. For those who don't know where Atchison, Kansas is, how far is it from, say, Kansas City International Airport?
Yeah, it's about 35 minutes from the airport.
And it's in a rural area, because when I first saw Benedictine College, I kidded with you before we came on the air that there were cornfields up to the door.
Well, not quite, but we are on a bluff there. I mean, you see us through cornfields on the way on the Missouri side going over the bridge, and it's really a beautiful setting on the bluffs of the Missouri River, and it's really a fantastic place. And it's, you have great views of nature, and it's beautiful. And of course, the monks of St. Benedict's Abbey are on the top of the hill as well. So you see from the Missouri side, when you're driving towards Atchison, you will see our campus. You'll also see the Abbey up on the top of the hill.
I want people to know the location specifically because I want them to visit.
Oh, you have to visit.
You have to visit because, people, when they choose a college today, I think, Steve, they're looking online, and colleges can appear the same online, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, even if you can make a college appear a certain way. What I loved about your campus when I went there the last time was the incredible growth, but then some of the things that you wove in, for example, the Marian consecration, the things that you have around the campus mm-hmm. that are embedded in the stones in which you
Sure.
walk. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, that's a great question. So many people ask me, you've attributed it to me, but it's not me. Our growth, people will ask me, okay, what's going on at Benedictine College? Because enrollments are going down, schools are closing. Why all this success and why now? Okay, when people ask me that, our answer is pretty simple. We turned to two things. Number one, we embraced our mother. And the second thing we did, we embraced our mission. Mm-hmm. Okay, we embraced our mother by consecrating the college to the Blessed Virgin Mary. We decided we were going to put the entire college in her hands. And when you do things like that, great things are going to happen.
Wow. And when did you do that?
So that was in 2013. And then on the 5-year anniversary in 2018 of the first consecration, we reconsecrated the college. And when we did that, we had 1,000 students. They circled the entire campus, okay, and we had speakers up. They prayed a simultaneous rosary. And when the rosary was finished, we gave them each a Pope-blessed miraculous medal that they then buried in the ground. So her graces would surround the entire campus. And so when you walk on our campus today, you'll come across these little circles, these little medallions with M's on them. And underneath those medallions are these miraculous medals. And so it's really a beautiful
and put
thing.
Into the cement.
Put it into the cement.
Wow.
It forms kind of a walking rosary on our campus. And so it's really and then it reminds our students too, as they walk to class, that, this is holy ground. And Our Lady's miraculous medals, blessed by the Pope, are in the ground there, and that they know that Mary's protecting us. And
Unbelievable.
So it's really powerful.
So, and then on the second point, the mission. Tell us about the mission.
Right. So we embraced our mother, and then the second thing we did was embraced our mission. We made a decision that everything that we're going to do, every decision we make is going to be consistent with that mission. We'll have cabinet meetings, and almost every cabinet meeting at the end of, before we make a decision, we ask ourselves, is this consistent with our mission? Our mission as a Catholic, Benedictine, liberal arts, residential college whose mission is to educate our students within a community of faith and scholarship. So this integration of community and faith and scholarship, everything we do, it's unique in the marketplace. Nobody's doing quite what we do, but we also think it's the best way to educate young people. And so how that works in action is that what we say is when a student graduates from Benedictine, they'll understand the power of community, that the whole is stronger than its individual parts. we as humans, desire, interaction, a desire community, okay? We are social beings. We need each other to be fully alive, so they'll understand that. Secondly, on the faith piece, they'll have a close and personal relationship with Jesus Christ and understanding that true happiness comes from doing God's will. Humans have an innate desire to worship, and if they don't worship what's true, they'll end up worshiping other things. You see this in your own life, probably, in mine, and my friends. They'll worship politics, social media, popularity, all these kinds of things that their mind starts worshiping. But it's kind of like the woman at the well, right? Jesus said, look, you can take a drink out of this water, but you're going to be thirsty again unless you truly believe and come to me and drink from the Word and worship what's true. That's the only way you'll never be thirsty again. So we emphasize that. And finally, on the scholarship side, we want them to be lifelong learners, that we have given them a foundation in the liberal arts. And so then all of a sudden, when they're bombarded by all the information that they're bombarded by every day, they have something to pull from, some foundation where they can pull from and analyze things and make good decisions based on that. So anyway,
in
community, faith, and scholarship.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful. Now, if a person comes and gets a tour, is that what they get? Is that what people tell them when they go on the tour?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the only reason I'm doing this, I went on a tour, and I had a young man give me a tour, and it was phenomenal. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I'm so impressed. And he did it so effortlessly. It wasn't a moat speech, like this is what I'm supposed to say when I get here. Yeah. He actually was just talking very as if we were walking along having a conversation.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So
our students are amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point is the stuff has to be not just integrated into what you're doing, but they have to really believe it.
Yeah,
right?
It's got to be authentic. Or especially young people today, they're constantly looking. They want to be at a place that knows who it is. Okay. Right. I believe after the pandemic that young people especially are beginning to distrust institutions, but they want to trust institutions. Yes. And so we want to be one of those institutions they know they can trust. We're going to tell them who we are, what we believe in, and we're going to be consistent with that.
Pope Benedict XVI wrote a letter to Rome in 2008 in which he talked about the need for faithful Catholic education. Talked about the need to educate young people, and he said that even if you don't see it, young people are crying out for it in their inmost being, which I thought was just beautiful, right? I mean, he's saying, look, you may think today, especially when we get this general sense, Steve, this is what happens. They look at general Catholic, or if it's general Catholic education or just education, secular education, and like you said, they're questioning it at a level they never have. People are wondering if they should invest in it. They wonder if it's going to come away with what you just said, which was all those things, community, faith, scholarship, right? Are they going to get that, or are they going to go somewhere where they might be focusing on you becoming the best accountant you're going to be? But in the end, Steve, I truly believe a person that graduates with that is going to inevitably be lacking something.
Right. Well, that's really a great point. So for years, there has been this belief by some Catholic higher educators that you can't be both faithfully Catholic and academically excellent.
Right.
And so some would actually put the faith on the shelf so they could emphasize academic excellence. But John Paul II actually said, no, being faithfully Catholic demands that you be academically excellent, and so it's not enough to be either or of those, right? Okay, so commit yourself to academic excellence because you want your students to leave and have successful careers, but more just as importantly, be good fathers and parishioners, and mothers and good parishioners, but also that they be so academically excellent and faithfully Catholic. It can be done, and the Cardinal Newman Society is showing that it can be done really well, and that's why we're really proud and honored to be, a member of in the Newman Guide to Choosing a Catholic College.
As you mentioned, your growth, I think, stands in stark contrast to what people are hearing about Catholic higher education in general. Let's just say that. you have had 100%
we
growth.
went from 900 to 2,200.
Oh,
right?
yeah. So, okay. So you go up in these numbers, and people are saying, no, people are questioning higher education. They're not really maybe thinking they shouldn't invest in it. What is the return on investment? The Wall Street Journal talks about the return on investment for higher education. Well, what is that? And what you just pitched about the idea of faith and community, all those things, plus scholarship, there's no part that's lacking.
Right.
How does Benedictine present itself to all the kids that are in your area? How do you get them to come and experience Benedictine?
Well, I want to comment on your thing about America. America needs leaders, okay? America needs leaders. In the late 1950s and early 1960s, for every 2 people that received a college degree, 1 person retired. So basically, the workforce is being doubled every year by college graduates. Today, because of the baby boomers are retiring and the aging of America, today, for every 1 person that receives a college degree, 2 people retire. This generation that is being educated today will be asked to take on leadership roles in this country at different organizations faster than any other generation in the history of this country. We take that very seriously, that we believe that we need to prepare our young people that we're teaching today, educating today, to be America's next leaders. And those America's next leaders can't be automatic people who don't understand how this all works together. How is a decision going to affect others? This is what community does for you. Is this decision consistent with our belief system? This is where faith comes in. And then is this, have you thought out this decision and come up with understanding all the possible ramifications of that decision, that scholarship? So if we can commit our young people to community, faith, and scholarship, then they can be America's next leaders. But also, just as importantly, so this is the vision of Benedictine College. We believe that the culture is broken. Okay, it brings about loneliness and hopelessness and faithlessness and truthlessness. Everyone says that the culture needs to be transformed, but no one's doing it. This is what we're doing.
To transform the culture.
That's right. We did a 2-year study. We brought in experts from all over the country and asked them, what does the country need? And to a person, everyone said the country needs to have its culture transformed because it brings about all these negative things. And so that's our vision, is to transform culture in America. And we've had the answer all along on how to do that: community, faith, and scholarship. In an age of loneliness and polarization,
yes,
community is the answer. In an age of hopelessness and incivility, well, faith is the key, right? And in this no-truth era, where we're information rich but analysis poor, well, scholarship's the foundation. So if we can form our young people in community, faith, and scholarship, our mission, and send them out to their workplaces, their communities, their parishes, and their families, they'll be able to transform the culture. Okay.
Beautifully said, Steve. Yeah. Beautifully said. Let me, as 20 plus years in a leadership role, the vision and the articulation you have for it, for Benedictine, how do you make sure that permeates the campus? How do you make sure that the professors also share that with the students, that the students, when they come on campus, experience it? How do you make sure that happens? That's difficult. I mean, when you get, it's difficult because you've got a big entity now. I mean, how many professors do you have total?
Yeah, 100. Well, when I came, we had, I don't know, 75, 80 professors. Now we're 140. So, I mean, of course, we've grown, with the student body. But, well, fortunately for the board, they hired somebody that, once I have a shtick, I don't really. So I've been preaching community, faith, and scholarship for a long time. I was really given this amazing mission, okay?
Right.
And then we've continually pound the pavement. I think it's really important to continue to say those words over and over again, articulate this vision to transform culture in America through our mission of community, faith, and scholarship. And
Steve, as I said, as somebody in charge of a large entity, I'm going to brag on you a little bit here. I know for a fact that you lead a rosary, and that people see that you're not just going through the motions in a verbal form. You're actually doing these kinds of things. You're engaging with the students. Tell us a little bit about some of the stuff you've done.
Well, when we consecrated the college to Our Lady, one of the things I kept asking ourselves is, how can we put this into action? How can we put this consecration into action? And so I was going down to Mexico City on this conference, this Ecclesia in America conference, the Church in America, and so I was able to see Our Lady of Guadalupe in the Tilma. Okay, and on our way down, I read about this, and something really stuck out to me because Juan Diego was kind of like asking Our Lady. He kept saying, why me, right? And Our Lady of Guadalupe said, there are many I could send, but you're the one I've chosen for this task. There are many I could send, but you are the one I've chosen for this task. And when I read that, I said, now I know how to put this into action. And so today, when someone applies to Benedictine College, if they're accepted, I sign their acceptance letter. And when I get their letter, I see the name at the top. I say their name out loud.
Okay.
And as I sign my name, I pray a Hail Mary for them specifically, that Mary will intercede on their behalf and bring them into Benedictine College. And so when they're freshmen then, I tell them that story in August of their freshman year, and I tell them, there are thousands of young people, freshmen in other schools all across the country. Every one of them are saying, oh, I picked this school, I chose this school. But at Benedictine College, Mary chose you for the very special task of being educated within a community of faith and scholarship. And so I think it's pretty powerful, but I also tell them, now it also explains why you can't read my handwriting, because I'm concentrating on that Hail Mary.
Right.
Exactly. So they have to give me a break. And so that's really important. In addition to that, we started a Wednesday morning 7:30 a.m. rosary, and the first day of school, it's up in the quad. Because we couldn't put it anywhere else, because every freshman and most of the rest of the school all come to that rosary on 7:30 a.m. on the first day of school. And then every other Wednesday after that, we go down into the Abbey and pray down at the Our Lady Guadalupe Chapel. And it's just beautiful. I mean, we have, 100 students show up for a rosary at 7:30 a.m. on a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. I mean, that's... as I said, it's a testimony in today's age when people are questioning higher education. They're questioning what they get out of it, as we always do. It's often a time of saying, well, what also are you putting into it, right? What are you investing in? What do you want to get out of it, right? Most people today have been conditioned to believe that college is the foreground to your career, which is true in a sense, right? But it's bigger than that. If we allow Catholic education to slip into a mere foreground for a career, then we have done a grave injustice to what true Catholic education is.
Yeah, I agree. We think it's less important to worry about how to make a living than it is how to make a life. And there's no doubt, we know from our history that Benedictine College is producing CEOs and bank presidents and bishops and abbots, prioresses, and doctors and lawyers. But we think it's just as important, and actually more important, that we're producing Little League coaches, scout leaders, parishioners, mothers and fathers, people who will make their community stronger and the world a better place to live.
So, Steve, when you are trying to attract people to Benedictine College, what has been the most successful thing in order to help you grow a campus from 900 plus to 2,200 plus today? What do you think is the success factor for you? What is it that a parent goes, I was thinking about it and I was evaluating a lot of different places, but we did this and it sold me. What is it?
I don't know, man. I tell the story all the time that one of the things that I'm known for is that I worry all the time, right? I'm constantly worried. One time somebody came up to me and said, if you worry, that means you lack faith, right? And I said, oh, great, something else to worry about.
No, I don't have any faith, right?
So anyway,
thank you for that. Yeah.
Right. I think I just... I think in the end, it's our commitment to Our Lady. I really believe, she spared the life of our founder. Henry Lemke was out in the prairie. He was walking home. He had lost his way. A rainstorm came up. He's dehydrated. This is 1856. Of course, he didn't have a flashlight or anything. Water was coming upon him. He thought he was going to drown that night. He looks up into heaven and he says, Mary, help of Christians, if you can get me out of this, you can show me a sign, spare my life, I'll be forever devoted to you. And at that moment, across the prairie, through the rain, he sees a light, a light that wasn't there before, and that light gives him hope. He crawls towards the light. As he gets to the light, he finds out that it's in a hut out on the prairie, only one window, and there's a lantern in that window. He knocks on the door. People know him, let him in, dry him off, give him something to eat. And as he's sitting there, he asks the lady there, and he says, tell me, how'd that lantern get in the window? Because it gave me hope and saved my life. And she said, well, Father, we were sleeping, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, my 9-year-old daughter woke up and said, Mommy, come here, come here. Mom lights the lantern, puts it in the window, says, honey, what's wrong? 9-year-old girl says, Mommy, I was sleeping, and all of a sudden, a lady dressed in white was at the foot of my bed telling me to wake you up. No doubt that it was the Blessed Virgin Mary that woke that little girl up,
put the lantern.
Put the lantern in the window, saved Father Henry's life. 2 years later, 1858, he founds Benedictine College. The same year, a lady dressed in white appears to St. Bernadette in Lourdes, France. That's why we have a grotto on our campus that looks like the one in Lourdes, France. And so from the very beginning, Mary chose this place, chose Father Henry to survive that night so he could found Benedictine College. And from that moment on, we feel it's our duty to provide this amazing education, to educate our students within a community faith scholarship so they can transform the culture. And Mary is going to help us along that way. It's very, very powerful when you think about it. All this stuff, all this whole transforming culture in America was all foreseen by John Paul II in the Church in America document when he said that Our Lady of Guadalupe, through Our Lady of Guadalupe, the culture will be transformed in America. And so we've really embraced that. And there's no coincidences with God, right?
No,
so
that's
we're called
beautiful.
to do this.
Let me get to a couple hard facts for people that are out there that are potentially thinking of Benedictine College. Tell us about the academics, a bit about that.
Right.
What do you offer?
Right.
What are the things that draw people? What are the majors? What are the things that you have to offer for Catholic families today?
So we're a liberal arts college, but we also have some really dynamic and unique offerings. Okay, so we have a full complement of majors, I would say, right? 45 different majors. Some of the things that we've done recently, I think, has really taken us to another level. We have engineering, so we have 4 ABED accredited engineering programs: mechanical, electrical, civil, and chemical engineering. That's very unusual for a liberal arts college. We also have architecture, so we have one of the only uniquely classical architecture programs in the country. That's also unusual for a liberal arts college, in fact, and a Catholic college too. In fact, there's only 4 Catholic universities in America that have both engineering and architecture. Catholic U, Detroit Mercy, Notre Dame, and Benedictine College, and so it puts, and we're the only liberal arts college of that group. And so those are, of course, we have nursing, we have graphic design. One of the things that we are working on and planning very hard on is to start a faithful Catholic, authentically Catholic medical school.
I'm glad you got to that. Yes.
Yeah, so it'll be the most pro-life medical school in the country, and one in which we when we educate future physicians to understand the dignity of every human that's going to be in front of them. It's going to be an amazing thing, and it will transform the healthcare culture in the United States.
And sharing something personal about that is when living in Kansas City, we had a miscarriage, and we went to a hospital with a name named after Mary. And the people there, when we had a miscarriage, said, they were just going to discard of the tissue for us.
Right.
Now, when we asked them about that, being a hospital with a name such as theirs, they had no inclination towards being pro-life and didn't really see it as a life.
Right.
Now, the thing about that is we actually wrote a letter to the board and they changed based on that. Now, what's interesting about this is you would think as a Catholic, sometimes you go into a place, it has the name, but it doesn't have any of the core beliefs of being a truly faithful Catholic entity, right? One of the things that I find beautiful about that is if there's ever a field that we run into routinely in our lives is a healthcare field, right? That you need people with the perspective of Christ and his church to kind of, let's say, guard their actions and guide them with them. Because oftentimes people go through the process, but they don't. I mean, I know places you go into and they might have a crucifix up or might even have a cross up. But as far as really being down and making sure that what they do mirrors their faith, that's a different thing, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, even at a higher level, the mantra for medical schools used to be to teach their physicians to do no harm.
Right.
Okay. Today, however, the mantra is do whatever the patient tells you to do. Patient comes in and he says, kill my baby, kill me, change my sex, change my kid's sex. Now physicians are taught in medical school, well, I have the technical ability to do all those things. They're not asked to ask themselves, is this the right thing to do?
Right.
Right. Our medical school will teach them the right thing to do.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Steve, I have, with my knowledge of Benedictine, the one thing I want people to know about this is that when they hear the words Atchison, Kansas, that they don't immediately just start positioning you like they're going to see, I mean, I said when you first started, based on where you were, there were cornfields all around you. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, when you are close to the Missouri River, and your area there, I want people to go out and see it. I want them to overcome any bias. If they're out in some other part of the world, I want them to go to Atchison and actually have a visit.
Yeah, well,
I challenge
hope so.
that,
Yeah. So one of the things that's really helped us a lot, too, is that we are considered a national school now. Most state schools and small liberal arts colleges will have about 75% of their students from their home state. Okay, only about 18% of our students are from Kansas. So we get students from all over the country coming to Benedictine College because of our mission. One of the things when we talk about our medical school also being a national school is that I say every engineering student that we have passes an engineering school on the way to ours. Every one of those engineering schools is going to be less expensive than ours, and they can get the exact same degree. So why do they come? Well, they come because of the mission. They come because they want to be immersed in what we offer, the liberal arts, the faith, and all the things that they do. One of the stories I tell about our engineering department is there's several reasons for them to be an engineer at Benedictine College, one of which is we're the only engineering program in the country that requires our engineers to take ethics from the philosophy department and Christian moral life from the theology department in order to get an engineering degree, which is pretty unusual. But the story I always tell is that one time, probably the best engineer we've ever graduated comes in and sits down with the chair of the engineering department and says, I want to learn how to be a better engineer. And the chair of our department said, okay, well, the first thing you have to do is you have to go to adoration for an hour a week for the next 2 months. You do that, you come back to me, and we'll talk about engineering. You tell me what other head of engineering
would do
any
that.
other school's doing that, right?
That's phenomenal. So let's benedictinecollege.edu.
Yes, it's www.benedictine.edu.
Benedictine.edu.
Yeah,
Let's make sure of that because I know there are others that have a name Benedictine, so we want to make sure that we do that.
So
www.benedictine.edu.
Right.
Okay. And if you get a chance, please go up tell Steve you heard the podcast.
Yes.
Tell him you heard him on it. It is a very unique opportunity, and I hope Catholic families throughout this country will hear of Benedictine College and dare to visit.
Yes, I hope they do. If you hear this and you want to visit, drop me a note because I'd love to meet you when you get on campus.
Steve, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all your work and what you do for Catholic education.
All right, God bless.
All right, God bless you. If you'd like to learn more about how you can help promote and defend faithful Catholic education, go to cardinalnewmansociety.org. Also, if you're interested in promoting and defending faithful Catholic education wherever it is found, subscribe to the Cardinal Newman Society podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.